Hi guys, we're making a few changes to the way we produce videos and shows here at Nintendo Village. I'll leave a link in the description that explains it in more detail, but long story short, we should be able to bring you more videos in a more coherent package. But that's not why you clicked on this video. You want to know what the 20 best Switch games are available for under £20 or $20 if you live in the US. If you find any of this useful, do consider subscribing, as we've got a lot of cool stuff coming to Nintendo Village. It's exciting times. To celebrate hitting 500 subs, we're doing a bit of a giveaway over on Twitter, so I'll leave the link in the description to that, but be sure to watch to the end to get the details. And so without further ado, let's get into it. There's literally thousands of games available on the Switch at the minute, so I asked the Nintendo Village crew for their picks for the best games you can pick up for under $20 or £20 here in the UK. I've also sorted them by genre, so I'll put timestamps in the description, so if there's a certain type of game you're looking for, go ahead and jump to that section. Let's kick things off with some platformers and probably my favourite game on this entire list. Celeste is a pretty tough cookie so far as platformers go. Rayman this is not. But the superb level design and platforming that's tighter than a duck's rear end make it one of the best games on Switch at any price. The story and characters are pretty captivating too, with the main character Madeline's ascent up the mountain reflected in her battle against depression and self-doubt. Plus, with variations of each of the main levels and an extra 100 stages that were added as a free update post-launch, you're unlikely to find a better value proposition than this. If you're looking for something a little more chilled, then Greece could be right up your alley. There's no enemies to speak of and no spike pits or chasms to fall down. Instead, it's just a serene stroll through a gorgeous watercolour world. There's some light puzzle solving to be had and some chase sequences that function as boss battles, though again, you're never in any real danger. As you complete various segments, more colour gets added to the world and unlocks new areas to explore. I had a great time with this one. If you're more into your retro style platformers, then Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope should absolutely be on your list. We'd actually recommend picking up the Treasure Trove if you've got a little extra cash available, as you'll get a bunch of extra games alongside Shovel of Hope. But if you really can't stretch to that, or you just want a taste first, Shovel of Hope offers some excellent 8-bit platforming, entertaining boss battles, and some brilliantly bizarre characters. If 16-bit is more your thing, then you can't go wrong with Sonic. Sonic Mania represents a real return to form for the blue blur, who never really made the jump to 3D as seamlessly as Mario did. Featuring all the zones you remember from the 90s, as well as a couple of new ones, it's unarguably the best Sonic game we've had in forever, and there's tons of replayability thanks to time trials, the ability to play as other characters, and more. The Switch is kind of spoiled for platformers to be honest, but those are the top picks in this price range. Next up, platformers that let you go left. Yup, there's plenty of Metroidvanias on Switch too, and none are quite as pretty, or accessible if you ask me, than Ori and the Blind Forest. Whilst it was once an Xbox exclusive, it's made the transition to Switch seamlessly and looks gorgeous on the hybrid system. It's a little more linear than some Metroidvanias, so if you're not a fan of getting too lost, this is probably the one for you. Ori himself is a delight to control, with a very satisfying range of abilities to unlock, and the characters and storyline will have you pushing through right to the end. For something a little more hardcore, Hollow Knight is the way to go. The narrative is less obvious than Ori, but it's incredibly deep if you take the time to explore every nook and cranny of its beautiful hand-drawn world. Combat can be tough, and you'll need your wits about you if you're going to avoid being squashed too often. It can be a bit of a slog at times, but stick with it and it's one of the most rewarding experiences on the system. Lastly on the Metroidvania front, we've got what I'd call the happy medium between Ori's accessibility and Hollow Knight's challenge, SteamWorld Dig 2. Image and Form have dropped a fair few SteamWorld games on Switch now, but this gem from the Switch's first year is still the best in the series if you ask me. The art style is great, the excellent level design elevates it above its procedurally generated predecessor, and it's chock full of the personality and humour that's the calling card of the series. Plus, with the ability to equip and unequip certain items and upgrades, you can make it as challenging as you like. So that's Metroidvanias, but what if those skill trees have got you hankering for something more? Something like, perhaps, an RPG. Well, my first recommendation would be Child of Light Ultimate Edition. It's actually one of a number of games that's made its way across from the Wii U. But it was one of my favourites on that system and it's great on Switch as well. The battle system is particularly cool, the art style makes it a delight to play through, and the rhyming iambic pentameter that delivers the game's story is a unique delight. If you're looking for something a little more light-hearted though, then how about an RPG centred around golf? Golf Story is actually a Switch exclusive, but it's not your typical golf game. In fact, besides the obligatory games of golf, you'll be using your trusty golf bat to accomplish a bunch of side quests across 8 worlds full of hilarious characters. And if that didn't scratch the surrealism itch enough for you, then Undertale is probably where you want to head next. It's almost a satire of the entire RPG genre, so if you're a fan, you'll likely find a lot to love, not least in the brilliant dialogue and the way the game subverts your expectations. The presentation may be simple, but there's a lot of depth to Undertale's story, gameplay and characters, with plenty of replayability if you want to experience everything it has to offer. Next up are a couple of strategy games, and with Nintendo neglecting to give us a new Advance Wars since, well, I don't know when, fortunately indie developer Chucklefish have stepped up to the plate. Yes, Wargroove is Advance Wars in all but name and setting. Instead of the military aspect seen in Nintendo's franchise, there's more of a fantasy setup here, with weird creatures and magic to make use of instead of guns and fighter jets. Still, the core gameplay is absolutely rock solid and is a ton of fun. There's a pretty meaty story mode on offer. You could play asynchronous multiplayer online, a bit like the 21st century equivalent of playing chess by post, and there's even a level builder and a cutscene creator. Frankly, the amount of content on offer is limitless, and it's one we say should be in every Switch player's library. For a slightly more minimalist take on the genre, you should check out Bad North. You're tasked with defending procedurally generated islands from incoming enemy boats, and the better you are at defending the settlements on your island, the more coins you earn to upgrade your commanders. It can get tough the deeper your runs go, but it's an interesting twist on the genre and one we'd recommend checking out if you're into that kind of thing. There's a pretty meaty demo available for that one too, so you can even give it a whirl before you buy. If you're less into careful planning and more into seat of your pants reactions, then have we got the bullet hell games for you. If you've not heard of Cuphead, where have you been? The incredible hand-drawn art style is reminiscent of early cartoons, and it's accompanied by an outstanding jazzy soundtrack to set off the vibe nicely. Don't let all that fool you though, because beneath the pleasant exterior is a game that won't think twice about absolutely kicking your ass. Although there are some run-and-gun platforming levels, the bulk of the game consists of hard-as-nails boss battles. They're tough enough as is, but with some random elements thrown in for kicks, you'll likely be screaming in frustration more than once. However, everything is wonderfully tight, and when you do emerge victorious, you'll be punching the air in delight. If you're after something equally challenging but a little less frustrating, then Graceful Explosion Machine could be more up your alley. Another gem from the Switch's early days, the 48 levels offer increasingly varied enemies and a number of different attacks at your disposal. Whereas Cuphead's main goal is just getting to the end, Graceful Explosion Machine soon pulls you into shooting for higher and higher scores. Chaining together massive combos becomes incredibly addictive, and the eye-popping art style makes it one of the more stylish games on the system. If all of that bullet hell insanity has left you in need of a lie down, then Stardew Valley could be what you need next. Until Animal Crossing came along, Stardew Valley was the lifesome of choice for Switch owners, and for good reason. The 16-bit art style has a certain charm to it, and the Harvest Moon-esque gameplay gives you plenty to do. Farming, fishing, or just fraternising with the locals are all delightful, and the game has received a wealth of free updates, adding more items, buildings, animals, and even multiplayer to keep you farming for years to come. Speaking of multiplayer, we'd be remiss if we didn't include a few on this list. The Switch does come with 2 Joy-Con after all. Rocket League has a fantastically bonkers premise: flying car football. Maybe I should leave it there actually, as if that hasn't hooked you in already, I don't know what will. Still, with online events, split-screen multiplayer, and a wealth of customization options, Rocket League is an easy recommendation even after all this time. There's a bit of a learning curve, but once you've got to grips with manoeuvring your car, smashing in aerial goals from the halfway line is absolutely exhilarating. And if shredding your nerves to pieces is your thing, then Overcooked should be high on your list too. You've got to work together in increasingly bizarre scenarios to get out your food orders, but with the various hazards and obstacles in your way, things soon get ridiculously manic. The first game unfortunately only features offline multiplayer, though that has been added in for the follow-up. The second game is $24.99, so we had to exclude it from this list, but it makes the cut in the UK, coming in at $19.99. So if you tend to play your friends online rather than in person, then the second game is probably the way to go. If couch co-op is more your thing, then you really should own Snipperclips. Another one from the Switch's early days, you and a pal need to work together to solve various puzzles. You do this by overlapping one another and cutting each other into various shapes. You end up shouting some rather bizarre instructions in the process, and anyone listening in from outside may wonder what the hell it is you're up to. But it's a guaranteed laugh, and there's even a few scenarios for 4 players to take part too. Lastly, if you're more of a solo player, we've got a couple of stealthy, puzzly kind of games for you. First up is Serial Cleaner. This is one I picked up a couple of years ago and I absolutely loved it. You're a guy with a vacuum cleaner who has to head to crime scenes to hoover up blood and dispose of the bodies, avoiding the cops whilst you're there. It's a bit of a nuts premise, but it makes for an excellent stealth puzzler. The papercraft art style is pretty cool too, though not nearly as cool as the jazzy funk soundtrack. There's a bunch of secrets, unlockables and bonus levels as well, so I definitely recommend giving this one a whirl. Lastly, we couldn't do this list without mentioning the goose. If you've somehow missed the memes that took the world by storm last year, Untitled Goose Game sees you play as an asshole goose whose sole purpose in life is to mess with the inhabitants of a sleepy English village. It's daft, it's hilarious, and you even have a honk button. What more could you ask for? And that's our entire list. As we recently hit 500 subs here on the Nintendo Village YouTube channel, we thought we would run a bit of a giveaway over on Twitter for $20 or £20 worth of eShop credit to help you guys play one of these games. All you have to do is follow us on there and retweet the tweet linked in the description, and we'll enter you into a draw to win £20 or $20 of eShop credit so you could treat yourself to any one of these games that tickles your fancy. There's plenty more great games on Switch under that price tag though, so be sure to leave your recommendations down in the comments. Do consider subscribing if you're new around here. We have new videos out every week. Why not go and check out another one of them? And be sure to head to thenintendovillage.com for news, reviews, features, podcasts, and all that cool stuff. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you all next time.